Hello, and welcome back to Sarah's Joyful Journey. I'm Sarah Joy, and it's episode 40 of Tea Tuesday. So let's go make our tea. Today, I'm being brave, and I am using my vintage Royal Albert Old Country Roses teapot. I'll share the story about why I'm being brave when we get around to spilling the tea. We're going to do that. And then today we're going to try this Harney's and Sons coconut mint. It's an herbal tea. So I'm excited. It smells amazing. Let's make our tea. All right, it's a very exciting episode, and I have, as you can see, successfully filled my pot of tea for this teapot. So if you've been around a while, you probably already know this story, but I said I would share it, so I'm sharing it. I got a really good deal on a tea set from a lady who was not far from us. It was a vintage set. It was new in the box, all this kind of thing. Well, I went to make tea with it, poured hot tea into it, or hot water into it, and it cracked the pot. The lady refused to give me my money back, which is okay to a degree. Kind of sort of expected that, but I still asked to just let her know, like, hey, I just got this. It cracked. It should not crack. So what it came down to is it was probably improperly stored because it was not the temperature of the water. And I always heat my pots, preheat my pots. I get hot water running through them so that I warm them up because it prevents shock. But if they've been improperly stored without being in temperature control and things like that, even if you do that, it will still crack your pot. Long story short, I ended up having to replace the pot, which is this pot. I've had it for, I want to say it might even be a year at this point. And this is the first time I've used it because I've been too afraid to use it. But I did find a local lady who took the teapot and was able to make me some really cool necklaces out of it. So that was fun. I did appreciate taking a broken teapot and making it something new. So that was enjoyable, but not what I planned. And so we're going to have some of our tea. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the tea in a minute. There's no sweetener in here. This is an herbal tea. And I can drink it without sweetener, which is nice. I'm trying to figure out which ones I can. Usually herbal teas have enough like fruity elements to them that I don't necessarily need the sugar. Not that they're full of sugar or anything like that. They just give those sweeter notes. And I think the mint really helps with this one. Also, lemongrass is one that I really like without sugar. But again, I'm using Harney and Sons coconut mint. It's a hint of mint and a hint of coconut. So each one is pulled back so they are not super like forward, but I can taste both of them in there. So where is their little breakdown? Oh, they don't have a breakdown on this one. It's considered a children's blend, which is really kind of cool. It says, enjoy your children's blends anytime with friends of all ages, real or imaginary, as these brews are caffeine and sugar-free, which is perfect. Which I just thought that coconut mint sounded interesting and I wanted to get it tried. And the little container is so cute. So once these are gone, I'm going to have to like find things to put in them because I love these containers, especially this one. This one is awesome. So this is organic lemongrass, organic ginger root, organic spearmint, organic coconut pieces, organic fennel seeds, organic coconut flavor, organic vanilla flavor, and then it does contain coconut. So it's probably very, very minor in the amount of coconut that it has, but it is nice that I can do this one sugar-free and without any sweetener and still enjoy it. So I'm happy about that. And in the evenings, I do love a good caffeine-free tea. This would taste just as nice with a little bit of sucralose in it. All right, well, let's jump into what's been going on in my life the past week. Lots of ups and downs. I shared last week that I was working 7 days straight, which is why Tea Tuesday is a little bit delayed for you guys. I am filming this on Tuesday because it is my day off. Still trying to figure out how I'm going to handle next week because I've kind of made the deal with myself that I am not skipping Tea Tuesday. So I think I have a plan to get it done. I'm just going to have to get some new film equipment, which is not really what I want to do, but it's what I could do. And that will give me a light, because I have the lights behind me, which helps, but I also might need a light in front of me. So we're going to try that because I can film one day after work next week, because this week is a light week for school. Lighter, I should say, lighter week for school. But yeah, I survived the week. I was pretty tired come Sunday, day 6. I didn't sleep that greatly that night. And it showed. I was just done. And I worked so hard on my paper. But we'll go into that when I get into the school section. So I was exhausted. This morning, I just kind of laid in bed, and I don't think I got out of bed till like 8 o'clock. Like, I was starting to wake up around 6, but I kind of was allowing myself to just like go back to sleep and get some extra rest, which was enjoyable. And then we cleaned the house and things like that. So I am really loving my job. I got my desk all organized and got some things to make my desk mine. But enough so there is a theft problem with some people. I don't know why. It's not anybody in my direct office. It's with other departments. I was warned about it, that it could happen when I started my first day. So that's fine. I don't keep anything super special or fancy at work, and I wouldn't do that anyway. But what I did do was get stuff that would be very noticeable if you took off with it, but that at the same time are still going to help me. So I have a giant mouse pad that covers your desk. Let me get some water too. I'm feeling really scratchy still. And I think it's mostly because our weather's going up and down, up and down, up and down. So it's going hotter, colder, hotter, colder, hotter, colder, and that usually does it for me. But anyway, I got a giant like mouse pad that I could put on my desk, so I would know if you took off with it. I got a new mouse and keyboard. It's a fun one. It's pink and purple. It matches my pink and my black thing. And then because I've got the smallest desk currently, they're thinking about putting one more desk in, and it will be smaller than mine, but not by a whole lot. So since I have the smallest desk, I don't have some of the space that the other gals have on their actual desktop, which is fine. It's not a complaint or anything like that. It just means that I need to be organized. Well, I have, on one side, I have 3 small drawers, and then on the other side, I have 2 bigger drawers. But I don't like, if I'm on the phone, I don't like having to get into the drawers. The drawers would be great if I needed to store paper projects or something like that, that I didn't want necessarily accessible, because we do work with sensitive information. We never print anything like credit cards or anything like that, but we still work with travel agents' names and phone numbers and addresses and stuff like that. So that would be something that doesn't need to necessarily be like secured, but it should not be easily accessible. And if you're going to steal something, you're really not going to steal a paper. So that's cool. But I did get some risers that have some organization under them. I got 2 of them because I have dual monitors, and I have a cabinet above one like half of my desk, which is kind of cool because I can put stuff in that cabinet as well. But the risers, I couldn't use both risers on my monitor. So I switched how I normally have things. I normally had my most active screen on the right because I'm right-handed. It was easier for me, and it was, plus it was right next to the phone. It was just within my eyesight. But that's where the cabinet is. So I put my most active screen on the left. Just took a little bit of adjustment. So I raised the screen that I use most because that one made this the most sense to me to do, because I want that more at an upper eye level instead of trying to look down. And then the other thing that I did is I took the other organizational riser and I put my phone on it. Um, so it raised it up, which is actually really nice. It's working really well. I've had it up there for 2 working days now, and I really enjoy it. And then they have slots where I can put pens and scissors, and like on each one of them, there's 2 little baskets that hang off the sides of each of them. I don't use them on the one currently, and I may not, but it's nice to know that I have it. And then it's got a slot where you can put papers on each one of them, and then it's got a drawer that has 3 sections in there. So I can put my sticky notes in there, I can put my notepads in there, I can put my calculator in there. And then on the side basket on the one is where I put my AirPods and my phone. So they're secure and not sitting on my desk when I'm at work. They're out of the way. Not that I can have my phone out and I can listen to music if it's slow, things like that. So I like to have my phone out. But if I'm working, obviously I'm working on a project, or I'm working on I cannot have it. Now, if it's slow and all I'm doing is just waiting for a phone call, I am allowed to be on my phone, which is kind of nice. And so I enjoy that. So it's got its own slot. And then on the one, that's where I put my book that I'm reading, because my book fits over there. And then I put my iPad mini in there. And those are all things that come home with me every day. So I don't leave them in the office. But it gives me space to have them. And then by having everything in the drawers, it feels nice and organized. I can pull out what I need as I'm on a phone call without any trouble, which is wonderful. So I'm really, really enjoying work. School this week was a lot. I took a different approach though. And for me, I'm taking just a different approach altogether, because I know that I am in the program that I want to be in. And I'm super happy about that. But at the same time, when I went through college, the psych classes, I did the same-ish way. I'm making little tweaks now as I figured things out over the years and things like that. But I just wasn't quite taking it as serious. I took it serious, but this time I'm really kind of moving through the materials at a slower pace, because it's not that the material is harder or anything like that, but it's things that are directly applying to me, where I'm at in my journey and where I want to go, what I want to do. So I'm taking the time to really learn and absorb them and apply them. Whereas in undergrad, I was learning and absorbing, not necessarily applying. And I think that's the different key, is I am learning to apply it to my life at this point in time. That's not a fast process. So I did something a little bit differently that I normally don't do. Oftentimes I feel like I get left to the end, but I've been working towards this paper knowing it's been coming for a couple weeks. Just like I know my final paper is coming too, and I'm working towards that. Actually, this paper feeds into that project, and this week is also going to feed into that project, and so is next week. So by being selective on what I'm choosing through those things, I will be able to take all those elements and apply it to that final paper, which is good. It'll make that bigger paper, which is 10 to 12 pages, go much faster. And this paper was 5 to 7. I usually never hit the minimum. I struggle not to go over the maximum. I ended up at like a little over 6 pages. It wasn't 7 full pages. It was just over 6 pages, and I was so happy about it. But I took the time to think about, okay, this is how I want to chunk up my paper. This is what I want my intro section to be. This is about how long it should be. This is this section, and this is the requirements for that section. This is about how long that I want it to be, and this is going to be this section over here. This is how long it should be. And then I figured, okay, at my closing, I wanted to kind of wrap everything together, and it needs to be about this long. So I broke it down into like half page, 1 page, 2 pages, stuff like that. And I made notes, and I actually started my formatting on my paper, and then I did all my headlines, named all my headlines. I didn't do my title right away, but I said title here, so it was in the right spot. So all I had to do is plug in the information and go. And it worked so well for me. And I've only done that with one other paper, because before I wasn't working when I was doing my psych classes. I was at home. I had all the time I wanted to write. I didn't have to like seriously plan my time. I didn't have the same time crunch that I have now trying to work full time and do full time school. So I am happy to announce that I got my paper done on Saturday, not on Sunday, which was actually what I was hoping for. Is I wanted to get it done on Saturday so that I could spend Sunday doing the pre-check and doing any edits, and I could read through it a couple times. I could have Matt read it through it a couple times, because I wanted time to take that break and make sure, like, fine tuning. Because if you read something too often and you don't get enough gap, you don't read as well as you think you do, because you know the material. So I had to put some time difference into it, and I got it turned in at after work when I got home on Sunday, and it was awesome. So I was able to take a break on that, and I enjoyed it. Part of that paper was coming up with a goal, and you will see me talk about it in the vlog that's coming this week. That goal was to walk 100 miles in 30 days. Still super achievable. Things did not work in my favor this week. I got a good couple days in, and then Sunday, like I said, I didn't sleep well, and I was super tired, and I was like, okay. So I came up with a plan to catch up, and then last night I was also super tired, and then I started looking at it and like, okay, here's my plan to catch up. I could catch up. And then I started feeling stressed, and I said, you know what? Behavior change is not linear. It's going to go up and down and up and down, and you're going to have setbacks and relapses and things like that. I know this. So I chose to do something that shows that I have growth and I am learning. I am not feeling like totally destroyed, that I failed and that it's the end of the world. I was just like, you know what? Pause, reset, restart. So I'm restarting, I hope today, if not for sure tomorrow. And that's okay. It's okay to slip. It's okay to have a relapse. It is going to happen. You can't prevent it. So go at it with the mindset of they do happen. Don't let it derail you completely. Make a new plan. Say, you know what? Yep, I slipped. Here, I'm going to restart right again, get back on, and I'm going to keep trying. And I'm going to keep going till I achieve my goals with that. Yeah, so really, really fun. I'm thinking of doing a video about behavior modification. I've gotten some feedback from some people, and I'm really kind of excited about it. So if you would like to see how a couple, I'm not going to go into great depth. I'm going to keep it general and easy to understand and apply, because you got to be able to apply it. But if you would be interested in seeing how to change behaviors, some behavioral health theories on how to change and stages of change and things like that to help you on your journey, let me know down below, because I would love to share it with you, because it's exciting to me. It's what I feel is a unique perspective that's not always heard. So let me preface this, and I will preface it in the video too. I am not a doctor, a nurse, or a healthcare provider. I am also not yet a health psychologist. I am studying to be one, and I'm a person who's passionate about behavior. So it won't constitute as medical advice, but it's not really medical to begin with. It's mindset, it's making a plan, it's changing behaviors. It's not medical, even though some health is a medical thing. It does not constitute anything like that. I'm not giving you any, oh, you should be eating this plan. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. This is more of a general, here's how you start. Here's how you change your behaviors. This is how you can apply it to health. This is how I apply it to my health and my journey and what I am doing. So let me know down below if you'd like that. Since we're talking about health, and let me move my teapot because I sit on the ground and I'm going to be ordering a pad to sit on. But if I don't move my legs, they go to sleep and I don't like my legs to go to sleep. So I'm just going to stretch out. All right. So health goals. I am taking control of my health. 2024 for me was just kind of survival mode. And that's okay because it happens to us all. I kept ketoing on. I kept as consistent as I could. I kept as consistent as I could with exercise and things like that. But it's been a tough year and a half. And I'm going to go over some numbers and share those with you in just a moment. Sorry, I just love holding a cup of tea. And these are just this is my journey and my experience. This is how I want to move forward. But what I have done this week is I have started tracking my food as I eat it. I'm not concerned with macros at this point. I am just tracking to get in the habit of tracking, see where I need to tweak, see where, when it comes down to it, if I need to do, when I want to do a cut, I'm working towards that. But I need to know what my baseline is before I do that. I need to know, because I know I don't want to cut in a fashion that is going to leave me hungry and it's going to not give me enough fat, not give me enough protein, and then it's going to affect my mental health. I'm not going down that road. I don't mind cutting and restricting for a time, but I need to do it in a fashion that still promotes my ultimate health. And that includes, for me, my mental health is a big piece of it. Because if I don't protect that, I'm going to end up needing medication for anxiety and all that kind of stuff. My autism symptoms gets worse. Everything gets worse when I don't have enough dietary fat to have my brain run smoothly. That does not mean that I don't deal with anxiety on a daily basis. It doesn't control my life though. I have to deal with it. I just do. I always will. It's part of just who I am, and that's fine. But when I figured out the piece that dietary fat makes a huge difference in my overall mood and everything, I knew that it has to stay. That component has to stay. I'm not going to sacrifice that component to be quote unquote skinny. And skinny is not my goal. Healthy is my goal. So I'm doing that. And I've started to get back to weighing daily. It's a mindset. You have to look at it as data. And for me, where I'm at, I still have 80 to 100 pounds to go to my goal. If I was within my goal, could I get away without daily weighing? Probably. Why am I choosing to weigh daily? I'm choosing to weigh daily because it's going to give me more data. Like I can see the trends. You can't necessarily see the trends if you weigh once a week or once a month, because you can have an off week and you won't know that it's an off week. If you weigh daily, you're going to be able to assess that in a much more minute thing. And I do have an InBody scale, which is fantastic. It tracks the information. I don't even technically have to look at the information. I have to start the test, stand on the scale, do my measurements. It beeps, it tells me when it's done, and I can walk away. It's all in the app. I technically do not need to look at it. So that's kind of what I've been doing. It's not really looking at it. And I'll go back after I've weighed daily now, I think 4 days. I have looked at it later in the day when I'm in the mindset of I'm just looking at data and not an end all be all on how I'm actually doing. I also look at it with no expectations. I don't expect to see a downward trend or a downward every day I'm losing something. I know from experience I'm gonna have down days and up days. And guess what? I've had some down days, and on today I was up like 3 pounds. But I also know why. Because yesterday was a super busy day at work. I didn't drink enough water. I did not get enough electrolytes. That is going to make a difference. So today I'm still behind on my water. I'm gonna make an effort to do it. And I'm gonna make an effort to get my electrolytes in. And we'll see where I go. But what I want to do is I want to see that overall trend. And weight loss is not linear. It's going to go up and down too. Up and down, up and down, up and down. That's my key takeaway about health. It is not linear. We want it to be. That's not how it goes. So I am doing that. Tracking my food. It's helping. It is very much, but I'm also not trying to be rigid or dogmatic, because I know if I do that, I'm going to destroy my mental health. So it has taken a lot of work to get to the point where I can look at it as just data and not you're an awful person or you're a failure because you gained 2 pounds and you ate too many calories. Yeah, so I can do that. And I'll let you know that yesterday I had a huge calorie day. I was so hungry yesterday. So hungry. I ate just over 3,000 calories. Honestly, I'm normally right around 22, 25. That seems to be where I am. I keep my protein where I feel most satiated just by intuitive eating is right around 150 to 200 grams of protein. That's for me. You may be different. This is my what works for me. Yeah. But it's now almost 11:30. Normally I've eaten a meal by then. I'm still not hungry, which is fine. Intuitive fasting. I will eat again when I'm hungry. Today is probably just going to be one of those days where I'm going to naturally be on the lower end because yesterday I was super hungry and it could be viewed as I overate. I didn't overeat. I ate enough that my body needed at that time. It's sustaining me longer because I ate the right types of foods, and that there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. This tea is so good. I'm so glad I got it. The next thing that I want to talk about in regards to health and my health is I was watching Keto Be on the Couch last night, and they were talking about Mounjaro and Ozempic and all that kind of thing. I have experience with that. I think what they said was very valid. I agree with a lot of what they said. I also agree that, based on my personal experience, that these drugs can be abused. It did get abused in my situation, not by me. My doctor kept pushing for the weight loss. I got started on the medication for the right reasons, to help control type 2 diabetes, all that kind of stuff. But he kept upping and upping and upping and upping and upping. And I didn't know better. This was a year and a half ago. This is right as the medication was still coming out. We know more today. We know more today. And there are some serious health injuries that can be associated with this. Do I believe that the drug is bad? Not necessarily. But do I think it's being abused by doctors? And do I think it's being marketed as a magic pill when it is not? Yes. So Rachel talked about she would like to know what happens from people when they've been off of it for a while. So I want to talk about that because I've been off of it since the end of July, beginning of August of 2023. So just over a year, almost a year and a half. I was told by my doctor that I would gain all my weight back and then some. At a year and a half in, that's not true. Have I gained some weight? Yes, I have. Am I happy with how I gained it? No, I am not. I last night decided to look at the numbers. Like I knew that I gained. I'm cool with that. I can accept that. But the beauty of having my in-body scale is I was able to go, and I had it when I reached my lowest point, and I'm able to go back and I can look at the data. And I tell you what I learned from where my lowest was to where I am as of the other day. This is a couple days old, which is fine because it's still very accurate. It's kind of scary, kind of telling. My understanding, again, not medical professional in any stretch of the ways, but if you Google, this comes up pretty regularly. How Mounjaro and Ozempic work is they help your body make more fat cells. If you have more fat cells, you have more places to shove insulin and sugar and things like that, which can help lower blood sugar and all that kind of thing. Makes a lot of sense on how it works. Where I see a potential issue, based on personal experience, is when you stop, you now have more fat cells than when you started. There's also muscle issues. I lost a lot of muscle mass, and I have not gained it back yet. I haven't worked super hard on gaining it either, but I haven't gained it back. So I'm going to share these numbers. My lowest recorded weight since I started my journey was on August 4th of 2023. This is about a week after I stopped the medication. So it was still in my system. Like I had a shot. This was the next week, which is when you would expect to see that. So it was definitely in my system. That medication affected my weight loss. Was not my only reason for my weight loss, because remember, I've been keto the entire time. Learning process too. But my lowest was 207.2 pounds. As of the other day on the 16th, and it's so yesterday, I was 234 pounds, 234.1 pounds. So I've gained 26.9 pounds in about a year and a half. Not great, not awful either. It's about, I don't know what the percentage is. I should have wrote that down. But it's not awful. My skeletal muscle mass is basically the same, which is kind of cool because I haven't lost anymore, but I haven't gained anymore. So previously it was 72.8 and now it's 72.3. I call that a wash. That's not a huge difference. It's a half pound difference that could be affected by how much water I have or don't have. Because for whatever reason, my water weight appears on my in-body there. So I call those neutral. My BMI at my lowest was 32.4. It has gone up 4.3 points. It's at 36.7. It could be considered huge. I don't consider that huge. Definitely a change. My body fat percentage was at my lowest 37.4. It is now 45.1, so 7.7%. Seems reasonable. It's about how much I've gained is probably, well, no, I don't know. I probably gained about 10% of what I lost. I don't know for sure, so don't hold me to that. The scary, scary, scary number for me, remember what I said about fat cells? My body fat mass index was 77.6. It is now 105.6. I have gained 28 pounds of fat. I don't like that number. I don't like it at all. Yeah. So how do I change it? I work hard. I track. I stay plugged in. I avoid trigger foods, which that's a practice in itself, is learning what your trigger foods are. Every single person has them. I have to make a lot of decisions and know that it's not necessarily forever, but I have to make them. And it brings me to my goals for next year. I'm going to keep tracking. I'm in a daily way every single day, all year long. I'm going to track my food every day, all year long, because I don't want this upward trend to continue. I want to be able to say 2 years out, 3 years out, I didn't gain it back. Did I have to work really hard to not gain it back? Yeah, I'm going to have to work pretty hard to not gain it all back. I'm going to have to work really hard not to lose it. I had the ability. I wish my doctor would have kept me on a lower dose and allowed keto to do a lot of the work. It did do a lot of the work, but I also think that the medication played a role, and it did. I lost a little bit faster than I probably would have on keto alone, which at the weight that I was could have been very helpful. It still could be pretty helpful for me um, if I was on a low dose and not having side effects. I could very well be able to be at my goal. Could I sustain my goal if I was still on it? I don't know. I won't ever know that. Um, but what I do know is I have the ability and the power to change, and I'm going to. So everything basically is a giant n=1 experiment. I'm going to have ups and downs and successes and failures. And I'm going to share that with you in all honesty, because I think too often we do just talk about successes, as we should. Successes should be praised, they should be honored, they should be, we should celebrate them, healthily celebrate them. But I don't think we talk about setbacks enough. So I'm going to be brutally honest when it comes to that. But I just want to preface that this is my journey as well, again, because what I'm doing is trying to figure out what works for me. It might inspire you. It might give you a piece of knowledge that you didn't have before that can help set you straight on your journey and get you started on figuring that out for yourself. But I'm applying this to me. So one thing that I want to do is I'm starting with my daily walking, because walking is easy. Walking has great benefits for health. Improves sleep, improves blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar, all that kind of amazing, wonderful things. And it's easy for me to do. Plus my dog needs a good walk whenever possible because he's crazy. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want to do a monthly strength-based challenge for me. And then the plan is, I don't know which one I'm going to do for January. I'm leaning towards planks, but I'm also leaning towards squats. I'll figure it out. And the plan is to push myself to really focus on that one area in that month. And then I am going to keep a log as I'm doing it. What point did it get really hard? What point was it really comfortable? What point did I feel best at? And then when I get to the point where I say, this number is sustainable, this is a good number for me, I'm going to say, I'm going to try it and stay, even after I'm done with this challenge, right around this number, several days a week. I'm going to make a leg day or 2 leg days. I'm going to have an arm day. Going to try and throw in core in there as well. Right now, I want to do everything body weight. I do not want to invest in weights again because they're expensive. But I want to get to the point where I will eventually get weights and I will start lifting weights. But we're going to start with what I have, because what I have is still a lot of weight. I also have a 50-pound dog who sometimes gets very stubborn, and I can pick him up if I need to, and move him around if I need to. But yes, I'm going to pick a monthly challenge. So I'll try to announce them. I think next week on Tea Tuesday, I will have figured out what challenge I want for January. So if you want to join me on building muscle and strength through 2025, join me. I also am going to be doing Triple B&E for a minimum of 30 days, possibility of going longer. I know from personal experience, I do better more meat based. So I'm going to keep going with that because that's what works for me. I'll use my friend Hope, for example. She's not a big meat eater. She does better, more keto, having more vegetables and things like that. That's what works for her. Guess what? We're both still keto. We're both doing what works for us. Neither one of us is right or wrong. We've adapted our journeys to ourselves. I just happen to be one of those people. I do much better when I have more protein and more meat. I'll still eat vegetables from time to time. Typically, I don't keep them in the house unless I have a weird craving for them, only because they're expensive and I don't go through them fast enough. So I save it for things when I'm going out or if I get invited to a place that's not necessarily keto friendly. I can usually find a salad and can go with that. All right, so that is that. Lots coming this next year within health and all that kind of stuff, especially as I progress through my schooling. Books. I read a book this week. I read a whole book this week. I am so excited. I mentioned this one that I bought. I got it, I think last week. It might be the week before. I don't know. My week, it's all together. But I mentioned, I think it was on the last episode, that I bought Keep Me by Sarah Kate. We had a really slow couple of days at work. And I couldn't really work on my paper at work because I couldn't stop and transition back to the phones easy. I tried. For me, I was getting frustrated because I wanted to focus on my paper. So I did not bring my laptop to school, to work directly on my paper. It suited my purposes better to keep paper writing to the evening when I could just shut the world out for a couple hours, hyper focus on it, put some music on it, and just write for 2 hours. That was more productive to me. So that's what I did. I can read journal papers and stuff like that while I'm at work. That's what my iPad mini is for. And I can do small assignments. That way, where I can kind of put them away as I need it, as I have to answer the phone or do a project or something like that. So I allowed myself to bring a book. I still haven't brought knitting. I don't know if knitting's going to go to work with me. I just may be not in a season of knitting right now. And you know what? That is okay too, because life is busy and I've got a lot going on. Something's got to give. That can be it. Reading, I don't want to be it. Reading is definitely my go-to. I don't really watch a lot of TV or anything like that. This is it. But anyway, I read this entire book. I gobbled it up. I ate it up. It was definitely, I wouldn't say it was a 5-star read, but it was one of my favorite books of the year. I think next week I'll go through in Book Talk and I'll tell you all my favorite books of the year. This was definitely one of them. It was different. It is dark romance. So take that with a grain of salt. I know it's not for everybody. It wasn't super dark, but it was dark. What I liked about it is it had a psychology aspect to it. He is recluse and she didn't have a bad life, but didn't have a life where she was really supported and cared for. So she had some trauma. And they get thrown together in an odd situation. And they help each other out. And they fall in love. What I really loved about Killian is he did not leave his house for like 6 years. And he had panic attacks and anxiety and all kinds of things. So I loved that aspect of it. that really just like registered with me. I thought it was sad and beautiful and I loved it. So yeah, great book for me, my opinion. Then Sunday, because I was done with my homework and I felt like I had time to do what I wanted to do, I originally started with picking 36 books. And I technically could go and I could pick a few more because I still have some wrapping paper left. But I ordered some wrapping paper and then I was like, you know what? I just want to do like 52. If I get through 52 books this year, which I don't anticipate, it's cool. But this is just a fun way for me to do it. I also will give myself grace to if there's a book that comes along that I really want to read right away, I don't have to read one of my wrapped books. But I wrapped 52 books in pretty paper. And this is going to be my TBR. I picked this one. I can tell is a hardback book. I picked mostly hardback books, but they're because I have a lot of hardback books because they're my favorite. But I picked some paperback books. I tried to keep everything around the same thickness. Some of them are slightly smaller, some of them are slightly bigger, but I didn't want to do anything drastic. And then I'm going to use this as an example. I did not want to pick this book. Not that I don't want to read this book, but I can tell you that this is my thickest book. I will be able to tell what it is if it's wrapped in wrapping paper. So I used, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 different types of wrapping paper. So this will allow me to choose. I can choose based on paper. I can choose if I want it to be a hard book or a paperback. I can choose if I want it to be slightly smaller, slightly thicker. So I can make some choices, which sometimes I can get choice paralysis because I want to read everything all the time. And it can make picking a book hard when it comes to actually pulling it off my shelf and reading it. I have a Kindle. I have canceled my Kindle Unlimited for the time being. I like a physical book, and that's where most of my collection is. I still use my Kindle, will still use my Kindle. I have a ton of books on my Kindle that I do not have physical copies for. So it's not wasted, but I do this. No new books this week, although I'm going to go buy one. This should help me cut down on book buying. I have a list that I want going through the year, so we'll see. But we're going to find out what my next read is together. And I'm super excited. So I can tell you it's a hardback book. It's not super thick, not super thin. I have a feeling it's sprayed edges because most of the hardback books I picked were sprayed edges. A lot of them were romantices, so we'll see. So let's go ahead and open up and we're going to see what my next book is. And this is going to be fun. So you'll have to watch the vlog series. As I get through these, you will be able to see what I open. And I'm trying really hard not to look at the paper and open this as delicately as possible so that we can just see the book together. All right, so I have everything is untaped. I have not looked, so let's see what I am reading. Okay, I'm excited. All right, so my next book I am going to be reading is going to be The Book of Doors. This, from what I know, is a fantasy. I think there's a romance in it. I am not quite sure. On the back, it does tell a little bit of the praise for it. This is by Gareth Brown. And it says, this book is worth killing for. A stunning fever dream. So that is intriguing. The inside is looking like this, and let's see what they say about this book. So it's a debut novel full of magic, adventure, and romance. Awesome. I'm sold right there. It says, The Book of Doors opens up a thrilling world of contemporary fantasy for readers of The Midnight Library, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and The Night Circus. I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It's wrapped. I don't know which one it is. It is wrapped. I might be able to pick that one out. It's a little bit thicker than the others, but not by a whole lot. So I might not. It says Cassie Andrews works in a New York City bookstore, shelving books, making coffee for customers, and living an unassuming, ordinary life until the day one of her favorite customers, a loyal yet charming old man, dies sitting at his usual table in the store. Well, that's kind of dramatic. Cassie is devastated. She always loved his stories, and now she has nothing to remember him by. Nothing that is but the last book he was reading, the one other he left for Cassie, and one other he left for Cassie. The other book, covered in faded, cracked letter, is not an ordinary book. It's a book. It is the Book of Doors, inscribed with enigmatic. Sorry, I'm having a hard time seeing. Words in mysterious drawings. It promises Cassie that any door is every door. She just needs to know how to open it. I'm getting excited. Soon, Cassie is approached by a gaunt stranger in a rumpled black suit. Drummond Fox is a Scottish librarian who keeps watch over a unique set of rare volumes. The tome in Cassie's possession is not the only book with great power, but it is one of the most coveted by those who collect them. Now Cassie is being haunted by a few people who know about the special books. With just her roommate Izzy to confide in, she has to decide if she will help the mysterious and haunted Drummond protect the Book of Doors and the other books in his secret library's care for those who would do evil. Only Drummond knows where the library is, and only Cassie's book can get them there. Are they willing to kill to obtain those secrets? And a dark force in the form of a shadowy, sadistic woman is at the very top of the list. Interesting. I'm kind of excited. It's one of those ones where the pages are not all even and torn. It gives that old feel to it, so I'm loving that. It's a nice sensory thing going on there. And let's see how many pages it is. Those are the acknowledgments. It's 400, so it's not super big, it's not super short, and I am excited. I will start this evening, and I will share my thoughts as I go through it. That's all I have for spilling the tea and all that kind of other things, but we do have one important thing to do. We have the joyful giveaway, the joyful Christmas giveaway. So I'm shaking these all up, and we're going to randomly choose one. Reese's Cluttered Kitchen, you are the winner for the giveaway. So go ahead and send me a message or an email. You can send me an email at sarahsjoyfuljourney.com. You can go to my website. There's a contact form on there. You should know kind of how to get a hold of me at this point. So go ahead and reach out, send me your address, and I will get that ready to ship out to you. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful and joyful afternoon, and just enjoy life. And come back next week to spill the tea on everything that's going on in my life and my health journey. If you like this content, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe and comment down below. I do appreciate that. I will see you next week. Have a wonderful and joyful day. Bye for now.